Good noon, all of you. How are you all? I'm Nikita and I welcome you to BYJU'S exam prep. Yes, so we have been having this crash course for a while now. Yes, we've been having a number of question types that we've covered, a number of topics that we've dealt with. In verbal logic, especially, we've talked about parajumbles. Today, I'm going to talk about critical reasoning, specifically the weakening questions, how to weaken an argument. Before this, we've had some sessions on critical reasoning, wherein in the first one, I built the basics of critical reasoning. Then in the next session, we focused on some advanced questions. Then we had a third session where we practiced a number of question types, right? So we've had such sessions. Today, the focus is specifically on weakening the argument, right? So I welcome all of you to the session. Good noon, all of you. Hi, Varun, Subin, Harshal. Hello, Shubham. Hi, Shaina. Hi, Kashish. Good afternoon. Hello, hi, Jay. Kevin. Hello. Good noon, Sarish, Anuja. Good noon, Surabhi. A very good noon. I'm good. I hope the same for you. And Kinjal, Nandraj, Prateek. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello, Dharmi, Shaina. Seems like a lazy morning, is it? Not to me. And that's not the case with me. I have a lot to do. Tomorrow is Rakhi, so I want to leave. So I want to wrap up a lot. I mean, as much as I can. Okay. Thank you so much, Kashish. I'm good. I'm good. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. All right. So I welcome all of you to the session. All of you who are just joining. Now, weakening the argument. You will first tell me how to weaken an argument. Okay. What do you understand by weakening an argument, and then only we'll proceed to the questions. Right. So instead of straight away going to the questions, it's important that I know that you know how to weaken an argument. Right? Tell me. In what all ways can I weaken an argument? Yes. Let's see what you say. All right. My eyes are on the chat box. Good afternoon, Shruti, Tanvi, Abhijit, Harsh, Sanket, Sanil. I have seen all your messages. I may not have been able to respond to everyone. Thank you, Shruti. Thank you so much. Yes. So, good noon, Jayashree. Okay. To say something opposite, okay, so that's one way. All right, that will completely destroy the argument, so to say. Okay, what else, in what other ways can we weaken an argument? Tell me. Okay, so to attack the argument by proving it wrong, or it may have an adverse, something that may have an adverse effect on it. Okay, all right, something that directly opposes the assumptions. Very good, Sanil. Attacking the premises. Okay, so how will we attack the premises? Something not related to topic. No. Speaking against the point. All right. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's understand very systematically how we can actually weaken an argument, right? So, if I show you your slide and I change the pen color to blue, see, if I want to weaken an argument, what is an argument? That's what I first need to recall. An argument is simply premise plus assumption leading to the conclusion, right? Now, one way is that yes, you are correct. I can attack the assumptions right away. So, how do I attack the assumptions? I state something. I state something that is the opposite of the assumption. State the opposite of the assumptions. So, this is the answer that you have given. Okay. Or another thing that I can do is I can add some premises. I can add some premises here that contradict the conclusion, that weaken, that attack the conclusion or contradict it, make it look less plausible, right? That make it look less plausible. We want to make the conclusion look less plausible. Okay, less logical, That's our effort. So I can add some premises that attack or contradict the conclusion, or I state the opposite of the assumptions. Right now, one thing that I got was saying something that is unrelated. See, if I say something that is unrelated to the argument, no, that does not weaken the argument. That does not weaken the argument. Okay, you have to say something that attacks this conclusion, and there are two ways of going about it. Right? Okay, perfect then, perfect. I hope this is clear to you and we can proceed with the questions. In the questions also, please pay attention to this, that you're sticking to the argument, you're paying attention to the conclusion, because that is what you have to attack. That is what you have to make look less plausible. If some of you attended my sessions on the basics of critical reasoning, then you must remember this house structure. The structure of an argument is actually, it can be compared to the structure of a house. So either what can I do? So if let's say my assumptions are these connecting pillars, either I make these pillars shaky, then the house can collapse, or I make the foundation very shaky, I make the foundation very weak. These foundations are my premises, right? I introduce something that actually makes the foundation weak. So that those are the two ways. All right. So what does plausible mean? Yes, plausible. Is it possible? Is it the same as possible? Is it the same as logical? What does it mean? Something that is credible, something that is believable, reasonable is plausible. You know, something that appears reasonable to you is plausible. So if I say that you have to make it look less plausible, that means you have to make it look less reasonable, less probable. Okay, that is what you have to do. All right then. I hope this makes sense to you. And now we can proceed. Yes. So let's have a look at this question. And first of all, this is what I do. I read the question step. Which of the following would most weaken the argument above? So an argument is given to you, right? And if again, if let's say, because this is the first question, if I analyze this argument with you, the opposition's allegations about a defense spending is baseless. So a person is giving his or her viewpoint. You know, the opposition's allegations about our defense spending is baseless. It's time they stopped criticizing us for not spending enough on our defense despite the increasing threats from China and Pakistan. What is the reason behind my saying all of this? That, you know, it's time they stopped and what they're doing is baseless. Because our defense expenditure has increased 25% overall in a decade. So this is my premise. This is my reason. In logic, we call it premise. And this is the conclusion that I have derived on the basis of this reason. Viewpoint is called the conclusion. So premise, I have the premise, I have the conclusion. Assumptions are never explicitly stated. Hope this is clear to everybody. Right? So tell me, what should be the answer to this question? Yes. Read this. Tell me what should be the answer. How can I attack this argument, weaken this argument? Okay, I have got ease so far. All right. Any other option that you would like to give? Okay. So this one is the conclusion. This is just an explanation of the allegations. Okay, that's why I didn't call this the premise. This is not a premise. This is not giving me the reason as to why they are baseless. This is just explaining the allegations, right? So this entire part, in fact, is part of the conclusion only, and this is the premise. Don't think that the second one is the premise. Just wanted to clarify this. Okay, I've got B also, C also. All right. More indigenous defense weapons and aircraft have been manufactured in the past decade. Okay, so nobody is denying that. Maybe they have been manufactured. The argument is not about how many Indian weapons or indigenous weapons have been manufactured. The argument is about the fact that the defense expenditure has increased actually, so we should not be criticized that our defense spending is less, right? So It's not about the number of weapons, it's not about indigenous weapons, it's about the defense expenditure. B is not addressing that. Now, C looks like a tempting option. C looks like a tempting option. That's why a couple of you said this. There are at least 5 nations that spend more on defense than we do. Okay. So, the criticism is that we do not spend enough on our defense despite the increasing threats from China and Pakistan. So it just looks at our situation. Given our situation, we do not spend enough. It is not saying that we do not spend enough in comparison to other countries. So just giving a comparison to other countries will not suffice because those countries' conditions could be entirely different. Okay, maybe they are developed rich nations that can that actually have a lot of resources at their disposal. Maybe they are facing even bigger threats than we are. Maybe they are at war. So we don't know their conditions, and a comparison will not really weaken this argument, a comparison with other nations. So eliminate it. E, our expenditure on defense is less than. Now see, we are comparing it with our own expenditure only, not with any other countries. So our expenditure on defense is less than what it was a decade ago when inflation is taken into account. So actually, even though it looks like it has increased 25% overall in the decade, but probably inflation in the last decade has been 35%. In that case, you can't call 25% an increase, right? If the inflation has been 35% in the last decade. So this is what this argument was about. This is how we had to weaken it, by talking about expenditure. D does not talk about expenditure. B does not talk about it. A does not talk about it. Okay. C compares with other nations, which is not the point of this argument. Now, let's look at your queries. Additional premise. Yes, Varsha, we can introduce in strengthening, weakening questions. We are allowed to introduce additional premises as long as they are related to the current conclusion. It's not like out of the blue I'll write anything, I'll introduce anything. This has to be very related to the conclusion. If I'm strengthening an argument, my premises have to contribute to making the conclusion look more probable. If I'm weakening it, my premises have to relate to the conclusion in such a way that they attack them. They should not be some additional fact out of the blue that does not contribute to the argument or is not related to the argument. Okay. Concordant kashwish is something that is, in sync with the other thing. Concord is basically when you are in sync, when there is no discord between the two parties, there's agreement. So in agreement, in accordance with, that is concordant. All right, we have to prove that we are spending more than needed. See, basically, here we are saying that our defense expenditure has increased. So we have to weaken this idea. We have to weaken the idea that our defense expenditure has increased. We have to say the opposite, that no, it hasn't really increased. Okay. Hope this is clear, Jay. When you weaken an argument, you attack the conclusion. So here the conclusion is that their allegation is baseless. Why are they baseless? Because कर तो रहे हैं spend, देखो increase हुई है spending. तो आपको बोलना है कि नहीं increase नहीं हुई है. You have to weaken this. You have to contradict this. Okay, so you have to say नहीं weaken नहीं increase नहीं हुई है. Hope this is clear. Okay. Not satisfied with E. E is a very clear-cut answer, Abhishek. In fact, there are no ambiguities in the options here. A, B, and D can be very clearly eliminated. C is called arguing by analogy. Argument by analogy. So, analogy is a comparison. It is said that a comparison is effective only when the two things that are being compared are very similar to each other. Otherwise, comparisons are not effective. Otherwise, arguing by analogy is not effective. So, this can also be eliminated. E is our clear cut answer because मैंने उससे शो कर दिया कि देखो रियलिटी में तो इतना इंक्रीज कोई हो ही नहीं रहा है इन्फ्लेशन उससे बहुत ज्यादा है perhaps right when inflation is taken into account it is actually less, it has actually decreased. So if let's say yesterday 10 years back it was 100 and today it is 125, then actually anything that I could buy for 100 rupees 10 years back, now I have to shell out 135 rupees to buy it. ओके, सो एटलीस्ट 135 तक तो आपको लाना ही चाहिए था, अगर सेम भी रखना होता डिफेंस एक्सपेंडिचर तो भी, एंड यू डिडंट इवन डू दैट, सो इट्स नॉट इंक्रीजिंग, राइट? ओके, so easy question this was, because there was just one option that related directly to the argument. Now let's have a look at this. uh, would most weaken the arguments of the railway officials. So what is the argument of the railway officials, right? So they say this, right? So have a look at it and tell me what the answer should be. Take your time, focus on accuracy, right? And make sure that whatever you say is related to the argument. Oh, okay, Subin, got it, got it, got it. So, Varsha, I'm giving an example of 35%. Have you attended any of the previous sessions on critical reasoning, Varsha? So, I think we need to have a base for, strengthening, weakening questions. We first need to understand what an argument is, what is a premise, what is a conclusion, how to infer something from an argument, what are assumptions. Then comes the topic of strengthening and weakening. Okay. Right. I have got my first answer. Anushka says B. Varun says B. So you need to have that base, okay? So you can look at our MAH CET VARC playlist. There I have conducted a number of sessions on critical reasoning. So go for the basic ones first, the basics of critical reasoning, and I think then you'll understand. Because without it, it might appear to you कि ये कैसे additional चीजें आए जा रही हैं. This happens with students in critical reasoning. Okay. B. All right. Let's see what the others say. So have you liked and shared the session? If not, then you can go right now and press the like button. I see that a lot of you are attending the sessions but not liking it. I don't know why. B, C, A, all right. B, all right. So mostly B. Mostly B I've got some C's and some A's also. Okay. Let's have a look at A. Media reports, media reports railway accidents because people like to read such sensational news. The conclusion by the railway officials, or the assertion of the railway officials, is that there is in fact no increase in the number of accidents. It's just that media is giving a lot of attention, and the increased media attention gives an impression that there are more accidents, but in reality there is no increase. You have to attack this idea. You have to now say no, there is an increase. You have to say there is an increase. Okay. So A says media reports railway accidents because people like to read such sensational news. It does not deny the fact. It does not deny the fact that okay, it does not say कि हाँ सच में increase हो जाते हैं accidents. Okay, तो ये weaken नहीं करे, ये बस media के reasons बता रही हैं to cover this. Right, it's just saying that this is why there is an increased media attention, because media reports such those things that people like to read. So it's just justifying the increased media attention. It is not attacking my conclusion. Eliminate. See, only the people of region where the railway accident occurs read reports about the accident. This is about readership. It is not about reporting. My argument is that there is increased reporting. Because of this increased attention, people think that there are more accidents when there are actually not more accidents. There is no increase in the accidents. So it's about readership, not about an increased reporting, or it's not about that there is a genuine increase. Nothing about that. Eliminate. B. Railway accidents tend to happen more. Okay, they happen more. That means there is an increase during certain months of the year, which coincide with peak travel season. So actually the reports are not wrong. During a certain season, the railway accidents do increase. And because of that, there is an increased reporting. It's not like the media is, giving it increased attention. More accidents are happening indeed. right? So B, Bangalore is the answer. So Om, you should basically read the conclusion very carefully. So here in the last sentence, there was the conclusion, right? In the previous one, this was the conclusion actually, this part. This was the reason behind it, and there was one single reason that was provided behind it. So ultimately, I'm reading the whole argument carefully. It's not that the last sentence will always contain the most relevant detail, not necessary. Okay, all right. Let's have a look. Sometimes, just a second. Let's look at this. Media reports railway accidents because people like to read such sensational news. Uh, okay, increase media attention. So it justifies that there is mm, increasing media attention towards it. Yes, it in a way strengthens the argument. Correct, Jay, correct. Because here I am justifying the increase in media attention. I'm saying that yes, there is increased media attention. Correct, correct. Then not necessary, roosters, not necessary. Sometimes they specify whose argument to weaken. Yes, absolutely, Sanil. So sometimes, let's say there are two parties. So let's say the proponents of a program and the opponents of the program. The proponents say something. So first two sentences are about the proponents. Then second two sentences are about the opponents. What if you are asked to weaken the proponent's argument? Then reading the last line won't be effective, right? You have to then understand the proponent's argument well. Okay. So don't have such notions. Premise, Aishwarya, is the reason behind anything. So when you ask the question for any statement, when you ask the question because and you find the answer in another statement, that other statement is the premise. To give you an example, uh, here when I said that okay, this allegation is baseless. When you asked okay, why is it baseless? You asked the question why is it baseless? The answer that you got was because our defense expenditure has increased. So these because statements are actually your premises. The because is never, I mean, not usually explicitly written. Sometimes it may be explicitly written also, but these are your premises, right? Those that give the answer to the why. All right. So this is the question now. Third question. Let's see what you say. A, B. All right. That's it. Others? Any more responses? Okay. All right. So A, B, that's what we are confused between. I expected this. I expected this. Uh, isn't A too general? It doesn't talk about cigarettes and alcohol. It doesn't talk about any product particularly. It just talks about the influence of social media, print and electronic media. Yes? So this argument is specifically about ban on advertisements of two products, cigarettes and alcohol in print. In print, electronic and social media, yes, on all these three platforms. This ban will not have an effect on youngsters. Now see here, you were saying this, no, that we are looking at the last sentences. It's not like that. It happened by chance that, okay, the last sentence contained important information. However, see here, this is the conclusion. This ban will not have an effect on youngsters. Why? Why? Now see, I asked why, and what is the answer that I got here? The next statement. So these are the premises now. The youngsters are not influenced by advertisements to start or quit smoking. They're not even influenced by these advertisements. They rather pick up the habit from peers and also get all the information about the supply of these items from sources other than the media. So these are two premises here, right? P1, P2. So because of these two, I am saying that this ban will not have an effect on youngsters. The first sentence is simply giving me a background of the situation. In logic, we call this context. Okay, so context, conclusion, and premises. Now you have to weaken this argument. You basically have to show that the ban will actually have an effect on youngsters. The ban will perhaps reduce the consumption of cigarettes and alcohol. When will that happen? When youngsters are influenced by it, right? So anything that any point here that favors this fact that youngsters are influenced by these advertisements, okay, that will actually weaken this idea. Clear? A says youngsters are more likely to be influenced by print, electronic, and social media than are older people. This just compares them to older people. That is not the point of my argument, to compare younger people with older people, and in a broad sense. This is a broad comparison, no? Print, electronic, and social media. It is about advertisements. Are they influenced by advertisements or not? So any point that tries to weaken this argument, any premise that tries to weaken the argument, has to talk about advertisements, right? This simple comparison doesn't really help. They may be influenced in general more by these media, but they still may not be influenced when it comes to cigarettes and alcohol, because they get all this information about cigarettes and alcohol from peers or from other sources. Okay? So A is a broad point. This comparison is useless. It does not contribute at all to my argument in any manner. Unrelated. B. Research shows that people's desire to buy a product, see, people's desire to buy a product increases when they constantly see, okay, they constantly see, read, print media, watch, electronic, comes here, uh, advertisements about it, and social media also involves reading or watching. So that means that when people constantly see, read, and watch advertisements, their desire to buy increases. So if I ban this, if I ban these advertisements, then that means their desire to buy the product, their desire to buy cigarettes and alcohol is going to decrease. So this is attacking this conclusion that it will not have an effect on youngsters. It says no, it will have an effect on youngsters, because now they will not constantly see these advertisements, read them, watch them. So their desire to buy cigarettes will reduce. Hence B. Okay. All right. Now let's see what else I got. E also I got. So let's discuss E also for a while. A few actors, sorry, have taken part in awareness campaigns against showing advertisements. So this is just some additional information about the fact that, okay, in this ban, a few actors also contributed. How does it talk about youngsters or an effect of the advertisements on them? Not at all. Very peripheral argument, not related. Okay, now there are certain. Yes, this is an additional premise. Very good, Varsha. Okay, additional premise that attacks my conclusion. Okay, just a second. Let me read your queries. A uses wrong analogy. Great, Sairish. Okay, you got this. Thank you so much, Kashish. Yes, please like the video. But B is talking about people in general and not about young people. Uh, okay, so here I understand this, that B is in general about people, but isn't it related to advertisements? A just compares the influence of these media on younger people. It doesn't talk about it in the context of buying products, in the context of advertisements. Whereas my entire argument is about two products and about the ads of those two products. So while I agree with you that B is not specifically talking about youngsters, it is still related to the argument, whereas A is not. Okay? Hope this helps. All right. C is an assumption. Cigarette shops spend a large part of their budget on banners advertising their products. It is not even an assumption implicit in the argument. It is just some additional fact that is given to you that is not going to affect your argument at all. We don't know if it's true or not. We don't even know if it's true or not. They may not. Okay? Correct. Absolutely correct, Sarish. Okay. All right. Now, coming to our next question. A private company, okay, it's about a private company, something happened there. Weaken the conclusion drawn above. So, identify the conclusion and weaken it. Important question types you mean, Milind. So, I have a session on August 19 at 9 p.m. Okay, I'll see you all there in the last lab. There we do a PYPQ analysis. I'll show you the various important question types. I'll show you these in the context of the previous years. We'll solve some previous year questions, so don't worry about it. Okay, we'll solve a number of previous year questions. Such questions, they tend to be time consuming in the beginning, Abhijit. I agree with you. Plus, they are, of course, lengthier as compared to, let's say, course of action, cause effect. So, I suggest that if you get cause effect, course of action, then you should prefer attempting those questions first, statement, assumption, statement, conclusion, and then come to these. Right? Okay. D is also an additional premise. Just a second. Anti-smoking activists. See, here again, this is additional info. I don't call it an additional premise. I call it additional info not given in my argument and not affecting my argument. Okay, so we need to use the right terms. Additional information not given in my argument, not affecting my argument, not related to my argument. Okay, so C, D, E, and even A belong to that category. There's only one fit, that is okay. C, D, E, all right. Some of you answered. Others, take your time. Okay. All right. Okay. C, D, and E. That's what I've got. Now I'm getting more of D's. Okay. So, this is the conclusion here. Clearly, people who participate in training events will become less satisfied with their work. So, it is basically saying that training events are, they actually result in people's decrease in satisfaction. They become less satisfied with their work, right, than they were before the training event. If I have to attack this, then I can do it in two ways. Either I show that no, training programs actually make them more satisfied. That's one way to go about it. There's a cause-effect relationship. No, if I just delete the entire thing, see this. Basically, the conclusion says training programs lead to less satisfied workers. So how can you attack this idea? You can attack it in two ways, because there are two variables involved here. Either you attack this one and you say no, they were actually more satisfied. That's one way to go about it. Or the other way is to attack this. So you say that, okay, fine, yes, they are less satisfied, but it is because of some other reason, not the training program. It is because of some other reason, not the training program. So you can't say that participating in the training events has actually made them less satisfied. So two ways to attack them. Let's see, my options mention which of the ways. A says the machine operators reported that they had expected the training program to improve their work situation. So this is just about their expectation. Whether this expectation was met or not, we don't know. A does not clarify that. If this expectation was more than fulfilled, then yes, it would have weakened this argument. Okay, if it met and even exceeded their expectations, then it would weaken this argument, right? But right now we simply don't know, so it does not do anything to my argument. B. The survey occurred during a period of economic boom and a time of increased job opportunities. In such times, anyway, workers tend to be, let's say, anybody who is working in a time of increased job opportunities, economic boom, will have a relatively easy time. Okay, will be probably happier. Okay, will be probably more satisfied. So, if in this scenario they are saying that they are less satisfied, then probably yes, the training program may have been bad, right? So, this does not weaken at all. In fact, this could strengthen the argument. This could strengthen the argument. This has that potential that it can strengthen this argument. Because it shows सब कुछ अच्छा है, external events भी अच्छे हैं, तो भी workers बोल रहे हैं कि हम तो कम satisfied है, probably training program ही बेकार था, ठीक है? See, workers who had not participated in the training program did not express any negative emotions regarding their work. This again goes on to say that perhaps participating in the event made the workers less satisfied, because those who did not participate did not have any negative emotions. So it's that category only that participated that is now less satisfied. So probably it's the training program only that has contributed. Again strengthens the argument. It does not weaken it. D. Several workers in other companies with voluntary programs express greater satisfaction at the end of the programs. Greater work satisfaction. That means हमारा ही program बेकार था, perhaps उनके programs तो better थे हमसे. Their programs were probably better than ours. Okay, E is the answer here. If the survey occurred during a period of economic downturn and recession when many workers were laid off, that means there is some other reason. The other reason is this recession downturn, because of which they are less satisfied. It is not because of the training program. It is because of this reason of recession and downturn. I hope this makes sense to you. E is the answer. Yes. And let me see who all said E. Harish said E. Jay said E. Okay. Good, good. Then Chinmay also said E. Great. So 3 of you are absolutely correct. E is the answer. Hope the questions that we've done so far make sense to you. Yes, we have a lot more questions coming up, but I want to make sure that you understood these. And in case you haven't, because you haven't attended the previous session, I strongly advise you to, because this is like critical reasoning has these building blocks. You have to build the basics first, then you come to the next step, right? Okay, so in case you've been enjoying the session, then you know what you have to do. Otherwise, I'll also start having a look at how many likes I have, and then I'll proceed only when I have the required number of likes. Which one, Nandraj? D. All right. Explaining D again. Okay. See, D says that several workers in other companies, not in our company, with voluntary programs express greater work satisfaction, right? So, in case this is the scenario, people who participate in training events, okay, will become less satisfied with their work. So, in a survey conducted this year, it was found that people who have participated in the events, okay, so this is were more unhappy and disgruntled than they were before the training event started. So here, this is an argument in general. Okay, in the events, when I say, that means it's not one. Acha, they have a monthly voluntary quality training event. All right. They were more unhappy. Clearly, people who participate in training events will become less satisfied with their work. Okay, so you are saying that D, why is D not the answer? Several workers in other companies with voluntary programs express greater work satisfaction at the end of the programs. Okay, so that means, but here I am concerned about the training events that my company conducted. Okay, that my private company conducted. When I say events here, because वो monthly है, so वो multiple मेरे ही training events are, not those of other countries, not those of other companies. So this argument is talking about the workers of other companies. So it basically is a comment on their training programs, not a comment on my company's training programs. Whereas I have to attack my company's training programs, right? I don't have to compare it with other companies. So E is doing this. E is actually showing this, that see, it is probably not the training program of the company that is at fault. It is not because of this that they are less satisfied. There is some other cause behind their dissatisfaction. What is that? Recession, layoffs. These are the reasons because of which they are less satisfied. So this conclusion is wrong. It says that people who participate are less satisfied. They become less satisfied. No. Okay. They would have probably been satisfied had recessions and layoffs not happened. That's what he says. Right? So it's attacking this argument. I hope this is clear. So we have to prove that they're unhappy, but not because of the program. Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, Om, see this again, we can bring in additional premises as long as they attack my existing conclusion. Okay, so we can bring in facts like economic downturn, recession, layoffs. Even layoffs are not mentioned anywhere, right? Okay, okay. So the conclusion refers to training events that are basically people, clearly the employees who participate in training events. So training events, because I'm talking about my company, the comment is on the training events of my company, right? Okay, let's have a look at this one. You have to find out the one that most seriously weakens. Let's see what you say. Yes. All right, read it and let me know what you think the answer is. All right, okay. We have done this. Hmm. I You haven't done this with me, perhaps. Okay, C. All right, C. Okay, okay. In the mock. All right, it appeared in the mock. Okay. C E A. Okay, so most of you says E. Absolutely correct. Let's have a look at A and E also. Many new health clinics and hospitals have been built in the last few years. Basically, see what is the health officials claim, that our vaccination program, our booster vaccination program, along with the strict implementation of protocols. It does not talk about health clinics, it does not talk about hospitals. It just says that because people are strictly following the protocols and because the vaccination program is going well, that's why the COVID cases are dropping. So when this has not been commented on at all, then how can this actually weaken? This is unrelated. Then he says, the onset of monsoon has increased the number of cases of fever, cough and cold and stomach viruses. Okay, so it just points to an increase in viral fever. Increase in viral fever. How does it talk about any increase in COVID? You have to basically say, no, COVID also hasn't dropped. That's what you have to say. It doesn't talk about COVID at all. It just talks about viral fever, right? C talks about COVID, that the new variant is mild, and that's why most people aren't getting tested. And that is why it results that it looks like there is a drop when actually there is no drop. Okay, it's just that reporting कम हो रही है. Why? Because testing कम हो रही है. But actually में the disease is there, the virus is there, right? So I hope this is clear. Very, very easy question. You must have done this in a mock or so. Okay. All right. Let's have a look at this one. Drawing, sketching. It talks about these two activities. And it talks about craft and embroidery also. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right. So here, good. So here basically the study concluded, it's very clearly given to us what was concluded, that the artistic skill required in drawing and sketching helps to do well in craft and embroidery. But if I show that the skills are entirely different, or the skills probably, let's say, basically they are not comparable in any way. If I show that you can't compare drawing and sketching with craft and embroidery, I would have weakened this argument. Okay, now this does not compare it with craft and embroidery, it's incomplete. It rather goes for a comparison within drawing and sketching, it's of no use to us. If I say that they are similar to embroidery and crafts, I am strengthening the argument. C. Craft and embroidery are acquired skills. So the skills here are acquired with proper training. Okay. While drawing and sketching are inherent skills. So the skill set is entirely different. Okay. You can learn craft and embroidery, but drawing and sketching is something that you're born with. Right. So if the skill set is different, so how can I say that the artistic skill required in drawing and sketching helps you to do well in craft and embroidery also? I can't say this if this is true. So this is absolutely weakening my conclusion. Good. All of you got this. I think all of you said C. I got a couple of, I got one A also. All right. I hope this is clear. Why A and B are not the answers and C is. Let's have a look at this one. Yes. Does not. Now see, read the question stem very, very carefully. This is a question that says does not weaken the argument. So let me see what you say here. And yes, do hit the like button once you are done with this question. In the previous one, Apurva, I'm just going back. I'm just going back and explaining E. People are poor draftsmen. Okay, so there is a U here, but it's pronounced as draftsmen. People who are poor draftsmen can neither draw nor sketch well. It's just telling me that there is a set of people who can neither draw nor sketch. So it's not commenting on craft and embroidery at all. Incomplete. Draftsmen are those people who are, they basically copy. For instance, they can copy a landscape. Okay, they can copy a particular person's visage and make a portrait. Okay, they tend to make the maps of, let's say, a house, mapping a house. This is the job of draftsman. Okay, all right. So I hope this is clear, and now we can come to this one. One can answer it without reading the question. No, there are no such short tricks. I can't give you any such short tricks for any question for that matter, any topic for that matter. You have to read the question to answer it. Good noon, Harry. It's okay. You can watch the recorded version. B, A, all right. C, okay. D. So two B's, one A, two C's, one D. Okay. Not weaken, not weaken. Remember this. All right. What has happened? Are we tired? I'm getting so few responses. All right. Then let's see. So there are more shops selling newspapers in Mysore than in Bangalore. More shops. Premise 1. In fact, more newspapers are sold. More number of newspapers. Premise 2. In Mysore than in Bangalore. Conclusion. Clearly, the people of Mysore are better informed. Oh, I'm saying that Mysore people are better informed about news and events around the country and world than are the people of Bangalore. We have to, three of the options actually attack this idea that these people are better informed. Okay. Let's look at B, C, D, E. Three, four of the options. You have five options, no? B says the population of Mysore is greater than that of Bangalore. So it's not like they are better informed. That is why, more newspapers are being sold. The reason why more newspapers are being sold is simply because they have more population. That's why more newspapers are being sold. That's why there are more shops. Population is other. It's not like they are better informed. Right? So B is weakening, B is eliminated. C. A large number of people of Bangalore have their families in Mysore and buy their newspapers there. Okay. So basically, it is the Bangalore people only whose families are in Mysore. Okay, and they buy their newspapers there. So that means you can't say that it's the people of Mysore who are better informed, right? It's actually the Bangaloreans only. It's actually the Bangaloreans only, the people of Bangalore whose families are currently residing in Mysore. So they only are actually buying all those additional newspapers from all those additional shops. So you can't say that people of Mysore are better informed. So this point attacks, option C attacks this point, people of Mysore. Okay. B attacked this idea, better informed. That no, you can't say they are better informed. Population ज़्यादा है, इसलिए ज़्यादा sell हो रहे हैं, right? D. People of Mysore spend less time on average reading the newspaper than do people of Bangalore. This is fine. There are more shops, fine, more newspapers are being sold, but they are not spending as much time with the newspaper. It's the Bangalore people only who are spending more time. So you can't say that they are better informed. Okay. E. Newspapers in Mysore carry more pages of local news than do newspapers in Bangalore. So how does this actually affect my argument? Students tend to think this. See, it affects because we are saying that they're better informed about what? News and events around the country and the world. Around the country and the world. But if Mysore people are reading more of local news, then they'll not be better informed about news and events around the country and the world. Right. So we have attacked the conclusion from multiple angles. One angle is people of Mysore. The other is, are they better informed or not? The other is that are they aware about the news and events around the country and the world, or just about their local events? So all of these we have used to weaken this conclusion. A is the answer. The price of the newspaper does not actually affect the conclusion at all. It may be low priced, it may be high priced, so it does not affect the fact that they are better informed. Okay, so A is the answer. All right, Arey, that's amazing. In all these questions, you got all these questions correct. That's very good. Farish. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. Now you're asking me to explain B again. Yes. So basically, my conclusion that they are better informed is drawn from two factors. Basically, two reasons. One is, sorry, two reasons. What are those two reasons? More shops selling newspapers and more newspapers being sold. So I'm saying that the people there are better informed. People are better informed, right? So, however, if I say that the population is greater than that of Bangalore, then that tells me that it tells me, see, more shops are there because there are more people. It's not like there are less people or there are equal number of people to Bangalore and a greater proportion of them is buying the newspapers. No. So to give you a mathematical example, and this is just an example, if let's say there are 100 people in Bangalore and 80 of them read newspapers. So that makes it 80%, right? Now, if there are 200 people in Mysore, 200 people in Mysore, and let's say um, 120 of them read newspapers, right? Still, the proportion remains lower than the people of Bangalore. So, can you say that people of Mysore are better informed? No. In fact, a higher proportion of people in Bangalore are reading newspapers. So अगर population ज़्यादा हो जाती है, so automatically it makes sense that you have more shops, you have more newspapers being sold, but that still doesn't translate to people being better informed or a greater proportion of people being informed, right? So is the answer. Okay, Kashish, all right. Then just a second. Some questions coming my way. By not weakening the argument, Aishwarya, not weaken means that if there are 5 options, 4 of them are going to weaken, one of them will not weaken. One of them will either not affect the argument at all, or it will do the opposite of weaken. It will either strengthen the argument, right? So you have to find out that one option. A is out of scope. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. ठीक है? Sanil, we had to find out the one that is not weakening. Not weakening का मतलब ये नहीं है strengthening. Not weakening means either it does not affect or it strengthens. Both the possibilities are there, right? I hope this is clear. Sanil, Anush, approximately 40 minutes, Ankit. Given that, assuming that there are 50 to 55 questions. Okay, all right. But I didn't see anyone. So Shweta, you need to narrow down as to which area you're facing a problem in. Is it RC passages? Is it vocabulary? And if in general you're not able to understand anything, then why is that? Is it because, let's say, your grammar is weak, so you're not able to understand the sentences well? Is it because vocabulary is extremely weak, so even simple words are very difficult for you? So we need to narrow down to the problem actually here. Okay. Inference means something which is true on the basis of evidence. Yes, yes, Sanu. On the basis of what is given to us in the text. Correct. It could be a hardcore data piece. Okay. It could be a set of someone's beliefs also. Right. Whatever is given to us, something that's true on the basis of that. Okay. All right. Jay, I'll suggest this to my team. Okay. We'll see if we can incorporate that. Who decides whether it is correct or not? Logic. So, in logic. ऑप्शन 1 बच्चे 1 मिनट नॉट वीकन का मतलब स्ट्रेंथन नहीं होता है दैट मीन्स यू हैवंट प्रैक्टिस्ड एनी क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग क्वेश्चंस एट ऑल whenever we say not weakening, okay, that means either it does not affect, it is unrelated to my argument, or it is strengthening. Both the possibilities are there. Okay, if you practice some CR questions, there are quite a few such CR questions, not strengthen, not weaken. In fact, if some of you are taking CAT में तो बहुत सारे questions आते हैं फिर. E is not the answer because it shows that these people will probably not be better informed about world events, about national events, because they are reading more of local news. That's why E is not the answer, right? Okay. Yes, correct, Om. Skip to the next question is then good for me. Okay. How does one strengthen? Varsha, I didn't get you. Okay. Uh, Grammar session, one grammar session has already happened in the last lab, right? Savitri ma'am conducted a session on grammar rules, and going forward, we are also going to have a lot of vocabulary and grammar sessions. Don't worry about it, okay? In fact, tomorrow, 12th, on 12th itself, I have a session called 4 Topics in One Class, where we'll discuss both vocabulary and grammar, right? Welcome, welcome all of you. Subject verb agreement specifically could be a little difficult, Varsha. I'll suggest this again. But a topical session at this stage would be a little difficult. Okay. So I hope you've understood what I tried to say today. Critical reasoning is one such topic that requires active application of your logic, of your mind, right? It can be draining also after 8 to 10 questions. So it requires constant practice to become better at these questions, right? And focus on your elimination. Okay, that okay, why are these the incorrect answers? Your logic, your rationale behind that should be correct, right? I think if you practice some questions, you will become better at it. It does demand practice though. So you're aware of the last lab, I hope, and you're also aware of our comprehensive program, right? And this is how we can stay connected through our Telegram channel. These are our social media handles, right? All right then. I'll see you on 12th now. Yes. Great, great. Welcome, welcome all of you. Assertion reason questions can be asked funnily. Okay, in one or two memory-based papers I have seen. Okay, but they're not very important, so to say. All right. Welcome, welcome all of you. Uh, okay. All 5 options were the same. That could then be a most weakened, most strengthened, and all 5 options. That's actually, Sanu, that could be a mistake on our part. Then, if all the 5 options are same, that's not possible. That for these different questions, all the options are the same. I'll have to check the question, then I'll be able to comment. Okay. For now, this is it. Welcome, welcome all of you. Bye. See you. Bye bye.